You're looking at new video of U.S. forces hitting Iranian tankers trying to break the blockade as fighting flared up yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran shooting drones and missiles at American ships during that, and the U.S. hitting back by decisively striking Iranian military targets. President Trump telling an ABC reporter the ceasefire is still on because those strikes are just a, quote, love tap. Meanwhile, President Trump continues to insist that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, as many presidents before him did. And it looks like the D.C. construction workers who are fixing up the reflection pool agree.
These guys are fantastic. So they're doing the job. They're working hard. And they agree. Does anybody think Iran should have a nuclear weapon so they can blow you up? No. It's a very important thing that we're doing, right?
So everyone knows that. Well, that is everyone except the former Vice President Kamala Harris.
When you look at this war in Iran, which the American people do not want, which was not authorized by conference, but even if it was, it should not have been initiated. He talked about obliterating, and then he said, oh, he did. It's all just... You made me do that. I promised I'm not going to curse in public anymore. I'm not going to dismiss him as being an idiot. He's dangerous.
Jessica, in an October 2024 60 Minutes interview, Kamala Harris was asked who the greatest adversary to the world was, and she said Iran. And now it's just BS.
No, the way Donald Trump is going about taking away Iran's nuclear capacity, which we haven't even seen that come to fruition, is what she's saying is BS. Not that Iran isn't a real threat. Everyone knows Iran is a real threat. They have been for 47 years. And we know that Netanyahu pitched the same war to Joe Biden and to Barack Obama, and he only got Donald Trump to bite. So, that's what she's saying here. The idea that we're in the midst of a ceasefire because it's just a love tap isn't backed up by reality. Iran says we're not in a ceasefire, and it does take two to tango with a ceasefire, right? You need both people to be committed to the fact that you're trying to find a way to peace and with these talks. And now apparently we may get a 30-day pause so that we can hopefully get a bigger deal. I hope that that's the case. But what we have seen at each juncture of this, where we hear from our administration, Iran, they're on the back foot, all this economic sanctions, they're being totally crushed, they're going to fall tomorrow. No, the next day, the next day, the next day. Now there's this new CIA report that Iran could survive a naval blockade for 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 month timeline on this. They have dug in. Their foreign minister was in China this week, showing the support that they're getting and that they're uniformly on the same page with them. We know that China can prop them up. They can certainly give them the money that they need to keep surviving here. And so I don't really know where all of this is going. I want to remain glass half full. I hope that we get a compromise, a sparkly deal. I'm sure and I have some sparkles on my jacket today. But the imminent collapse of Iran that we were promised has not come to fruition.
Jesse, when Joe Biden was asked what the message to Iran was, he said, don't. Kamala was asked, she said, don't. When Trump was asked the same question, he said, I would bomb the bleep out of them. I think I'd take that approach.
Yeah, Jessica says China's going to give them money. How, Jessica? There's a blockade. They can't get anything in or out. It is a fragile ceasefire, but we're going to defend ourselves. If you have a mosquito fleet coming at destroyers, you're going to light them up with hellfires from the Apaches. You're going to hit them with the 50 cal machine guns. And then they tried to lob some drones and short-range missiles at us, and we lit up the whole coastline with airstrikes. Goodbye. We've also knocked out some blockade runners because they can't store oil. We hit them up with the F-18 Super Hornets, and they turned right around. They're running out of storage, and that's why the New York Times is reporting they're leaking oil all over the Strait. It's an environmental catastrophe. Where's Al Gore? Isn't it funny? You don't hear any Democrats complaining about Iran. You listen to Jessica. She doesn't say anything about Iran. Just all it talks about is Donald Trump's the bad guy here. They're slaughtering women. They're polluting the Strait. They have blocked the Strait. They have blocked the Strait, which have caused energy prices to rise. And they're like lobbing missiles at civilian targets. And they're always like, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. Last week it was, this war costs too much. They said it was $25 billion. Well, guess what? We just sold $25 billion of weapons to our allies. So now it's a scratch, right?
Billion.
So it's just, nope. Read the news, Jessica.
I did.
25 bill. We just
That
upped it.
doesn't include the repairs that we have to make to all of the equipment that they've destroyed.
Okay, so now you also said
I don't really.
Yeah, you also said that we were running out of missiles. So how are we running out of missiles?
Ask JD Vance.
How are we running out of missiles
Atlantic.
if we're selling all the missiles to our friends in the Middle East? Then there was this. Another leak from the CIA, anonymous sources during the Trump administration. Oh, Iran has 75% of their missiles still. Really? We're still going to buy anonymous leaks from the CIA deep state to hurt Trump? Oh, they have 4 to 6 months left. Really? Then why are they leaking all their oil into the Strait? Listen, we're supposed to get some sort of counter proposal tonight. Trump's driving a pretty hard bargain. He's saying, give us all the enriched uranium, freeze for decades. You can't do anything underground, shut down every single nuke site. It's a pretty hard bargain. So it's going to take a little while. I don't know what they're going to come back with. No one knows. But if they don't, we still have Bridge and Power Plant Day. You could still take Carr. You could still lop off a few layers of the leadership. I'm willing to play this out. I think we have the upper hand if you look at the economy.
Emily, you made the great point today that we follow moment by moment what happens on our TV screen, but we do not know what's happening behind the cameras in the diplomacy.
Indeed. And I think the reason that critics are calling this, a violation of the ceasefire and whatnot is because they're not used to the fact that he's actually using de-escalating rhetoric and it's combined with the deterrence. Usually he's the one that's sort of escalating in his rhetoric. He is threading the needle of strength and restraint right now. And we know that he has significant deterrence. That's the U.S. military, and that's been how we've been acting this entire time. But right now, he's trying to control the political temperature. And that's a good thing. So I'm not quite sure why those on the left are decrying this and sort of looking at his dismissing of it. Not that it's insignificant militarily, but that he's saying, look, guys, I'm trying to signal to Iran that they're acting out and they will absolutely meet the heat if they continue doing this. I'm showing them what's going to happen. But it's a preview. It's not some type of explosion. And I think he wants Iran to know that America can hit back instantly and decisively while also signaling to voters and markets that this isn't an endless war and that we're not going to be there for months. So this is what you do when you correct a puppy. This is what you do when you course correct a ship. And we're seeing it in real time in these up to the moment updates, which I think for some reason seem to be catastrophic to those on the left every 30 seconds. But to us, it's, as you said earlier, it's how we make the sausage.
Yep. Greg.
Well, I'm going to be honest, my personal opinion, I feel like this story is getting old. I mean, it reminds me of, this Iran story reminds me when you have relatives come stay and first week's great, second week, then I just want to get back to my den. I want the place to myself. You don't want a bored Greg Gutfeld because then I'm up to no good. The things I do when I
draw.
Oh my God, it's horrible. But that's my personal opinion. But I trust the guys in charge. If they need a few more weeks to drain Iran's economy, I'm going to give it to them because they've been pretty good on everything else. They're not lying to me. I mean, it's quite a change from the old administration. I mean, why are we listening to Kamala Harris? Remember, she told us she was the border czar. What did she do? And also, I don't know what the Democrats really want. What do they want? Like, if they could tell Donald Trump, get out of Iran now, is that what you want him to do? You don't know what you want. Trump's just doing what the Dems promised they would do, but never would, which was get rid of the Iranian threat. So it's always deeds versus words. The Dems fill the air with these words, but then there's no action. Meanwhile, the border is closed, crime is dropped, Maduro's locked up, drug kingpins and boats are dead. Iran's mulch. What drives Dems crazy is Trump did these things and made it look easy. And that kind of makes them look really, really stupid because they were like, we can't do this. How could he do that? It's just called having balls and knowing how to do things. And when you work in real jobs, you do know how to do things. That's the problem with Democrats, Jessica. They don't know how to do anything, and it makes me sick to my stomach. And right now, I'm essentially just talking.
I gathered that.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.